So we've just reviewed the direct comparison approach. Any questions? So this is a very important topic, and I want to be sure that you all understand it. The important things that we consider when we're doing the direct comparison approach are, Jane, can you give me one? The lot size. Michael, the time that the last sale was made. Okay, great. Pauline, the frontage of the property. Excellent. Hugo, anything that you can add to that? The value of the features of the property. Excellent. So we're going to do a case study. We're going to look at 29 Brock Street, which is in a great location. It's close to shopping. 1324 square feet. It's a 3-bedroom side split, and it's built on a lot that's 60 by 115. Single car garage, no fireplace. Market facts. Prices have risen during the last year. The entire increase, however, have been in the first 6 months of the year. There have been no increases in the last 6 months. Building costs for this type of property are $70 per square foot, and lots in this neighborhood, they're valued at $900 per foot of the frontage. Fireplace adds $2,000 to the value, and a single car garage costs $12,000, and a double car garage costs $22,000. However, the value of the single car garage is $10,000, and a double car garage adds $20,000 to the value of a property. Now, all this information is in your handouts, is in your worksheets, and what we're going to do first is look at these 5 comparables. We're going to use the market information, the market facts. We're going to use information on the subject property. We're going to use the information on each of these comparables. And what I'd like you to do is come up with the 3 best comparables to our subject property. Now we're going to work in groups again. You're all sitting at your tables. And can I have a volunteer to be the spokesperson for table 1? Thank you, Jane. And table 2, Michael, great. Pauline, you volunteer for table 3, thanks again. And table 4, table 4, don't let me have to pick someone. Hugo, thank you very much, Hugo. So we've got our spokespersons for the tables, and we're going to do the work. We have 5 minutes in order to do this. And I'll give you a heads up, 30 seconds before the end of the 5-minute period. So let's go. So 30 seconds are left, and we're coming up to, discussions have been quite animated, and that's good. And I'm happy that you all seem to be into this exercise, which is what's very important. So let's start. Table 1, which 3 are the best comparables in your opinion? 1, 3, and 5, Jane. Thank you very much. And table 3, which 3 do you think are the best comparables? You also think 1, 3, and 5. Tell me why. Because they were sold around the same time. They were all sold recently in the last 6 months or so. They're all fairly close to the subject property, within a few blocks. That's excellent. And the house styles are similar. Good. Michael, table 2. Is there any property that you felt should not be considered at all? Comparable number 2, and why? It's a different type of property. Yeah, it's a 2-story house, and it was sold almost a year ago. Excellent. And Hugo, table 4, is there any property that you thought should not have been considered at all? Comparable number 4, and why? Because it was also sold close to a year ago, and it's a bungalow. It's a different style altogether. So I think you guys all have the hang of this. You are correct. The best comparables are 1, 3, and 5. Good job. So Selecting comparable properties is determined based on the time that the sale took place. Most recent sales, of course, carry more weight, are more important, provide us with better information than sales that took place a long time ago. The location of the house, the size of the property, the size of the house, and other physical characteristics such as presence or absence of a fireplace or parking or two-car garage. So those are the important things that we take into consideration, and of course it was good that you found these two. Now we're going to the harder part of the exercise. And this is when we are going to use these charts, this chart, to apply the adjustments that we discussed previously. Now I can't emphasize enough how important this exercise is. When you're working with buyers, you will be doing this. When you're working with sellers, you will be doing this every single time. So we need to make sure that we understand this exercise and that we get it right. So we have 20 minutes. All the information that you need to fill this table out is in your handout, is in your material, and you're going to have to do some calculations in these areas. So 20 minutes starting now. Okay, so we've got 30 seconds left. Quite a bit of animated discussion going on at table 2. I'm very interested in hearing what table 2 has to say about that. Here are our answers. And so the first question that I have to ask is, did everyone get these numbers? Did all of you get these numbers at your tables? Oh, Hugo. Which one? Number 5, comparable 5. What did you have here? Oh, you had 350,000, 760. That's $2,000 different. So I can think of a reason, but can anyone else? Jane, why do you think he's out by $2,000? Well, there are two features that have a $2,000 difference. One is a fireplace. So Hugo, did you guys deduct $2,000 for the fireplace? You did. So it's not the fireplace, Jane. So Kwan, your hand is up. What do you think they might have done differently from the rest of us? The garage. Hugo, what number do you have here for the garage? You have $12,000. So this is where we have to be really, really careful. Can anyone think of a reason why Hugo would have put $12,000 instead of $10,000? They did it because the cost of building a garage is $12,000, but the value of a garage is $10,000. And remember, we work with value, Hugo, not with cost. So that's why we'd only put $10,000 there. So if you change that, do you get that number? Excellent. And do we all understand now that sometimes what it costs to put a feature in is different from what the value of that feature might be? Good. That's a very, very good point, and I'm glad that your group brought that up, Hugo, because it's something that we need to always be mindful of. So with all of that then, which of these comparables would you say is the closest to our subject property? Michael? Your table says comparable number 1. And why? Because the final adjustment is only $1,000. So you think that comparable number 1 is the best comparable because it requires the smallest net adjustment in order to be like the subject property. That's interesting. Does anyone else agree with that? Not even at your table, Michael? Does anybody else at your table agree with that? Mary, you don't agree. Which comparable do you think is the closest? Comparable number 3. And why? Because it required the least number of changes. It had a slightly bigger frontage, but the square footage of the house was the same, a single car garage and no fireplace. So it needed the least number of changes. So you think that's why it's closer to the subject property. Okay, any other comments? Who thinks that number comparable 5 is the best comparable? No hands, nobody. Who thinks that comparable 3 is the best comparable? Everybody except Michael. And Michael, you think that number 1 is the best comparable. So let me ask you a question, Michael. And this is a hypothetical, it may sound ridiculous. But if our subject property was standing beside a mansion, but that mansion had a swimming pool in the back that was worth, say, $50,000, and the mansion itself was worth $50,000 more than our comparable. But of course, it would be offset by a swimming pool that nobody wants and nobody thinks should be there. Would that net value of 0 make it a better comparable? No, it wouldn't, would it? You agree? Yes, I understand. So this is not the number, and we did this before. We discussed this in the last exercise. What's more important are the number of features that are the same as our subject property. So, do we agree then that this comparable is the best comparable? And what estimate of value did you arrive at using the direct comparable approach? Hugo, your group came up with 300 and, oh boy. And what estimate of value did we arrive at using the direct comparison approach? Hugo, your group came up with 300 and let's say $354,000 because that's what comparable number 3 is. So using the direct comparable approach, the estimate value is $354,000. The final value is based on an opinion. And I say an opinion, we're not going to add these 3 up and divide by 3 to get the average. It's based on the best match between the subject property and the 3 comparables. There can be variations in the answer depending on opinion, but it's going to come back to more or less the same. So this is the best comparable at a value of $354,000. So to wrap it all up, adjustments are applied to the comparable sale. When a comparable is superior, when it has a feature such as an extra garage, we have to deduct, we have to subtract, we have to do a -$ adjustment to bring it down to the level of our subject property. When a comparable is inferior, no garage for instance, we have to add the value of a garage to it to bring it up to the level of our subject property. So we have a $+ adjustment. Adjustments are based on value of the feature, not the cost of the feature. And that's why, Hugo, we used $10,000, not $12,000. That garage was such a good example. You actually did this group a big favor by pointing that out to us and helping us. Nobody's going to forget this example anymore. And that's a very important point for us to remember. It's based on the value and not on the cost. And the value estimate is based on the adjusted sales price. Any questions? Are we all good? So I'd like you now to go home and do some more examples. Do some more examples tonight, because this is one activity that you have learned that you will be doing many, many times in your real estate career. Talk to you soon.